Okay, this will be the second and final part of the COMM 101 80N informative speech critiques. We're talking about the kinds of things that you need to pay special attention to and giving the individual critiques. The next student up is Skittles, and Skittles spoke about bull mastiffs, and let me go through this. You had really bad eye contact. In fact, you seem to be reading down or over or something, and anywhere but the audience, me. You need to look at the camera, and it just seems too much like you're not. It doesn't come off the way you want it to come off. The camera shot was way too close. You had a weak opening. You made several statements, and here it is again, multiple statements with no references. You have too much reading, and it sounds like you're actually reading from a book. I went online, I found stuff that was very, very close to almost word for word the kinds of things you were talking about. And that's somewhat understandable, but you want to be really careful about not using information from a source and not giving credit for it. There was no warmth in what you were doing. It was just a reiteration of facts. There was kind of a recitation of there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. You can tell a story, and apparently you're a great believer in that dog breed, that you think it's a very good dog. I don't get that in your speech. I get a very almost AKA American Kennel Association kind of this is what this dog is about. And okay, fine. Again, no sources. You have characteristics for characteristics. You have skull for skull. You want to watch your articulation and your pronunciation. You had an incredible loud motorcycle sound like in the room with you, and you want to cover for that. It was very, very distracting. You also had a line, and again, this is right out of the internet, so you want to be real careful. Generally, people don't make terms or use terms like their heads are keen, Keen. That was one of your lines, and boy, it's in a lot of the descriptions of the bull mastiffs in the internet, but you didn't cite any of those sources. Whatever you're reading off of, now here is, if I had the speech that I'm reading in large letters, and I'm looking at the speech right now, I'm looking at the camera, looking at the speech, looking at the camera, looking at the speech, looking at the camera. Just that little bit of difference makes a huge, huge thing, and it can be seen. Your speech was short. It only ran 4 minutes and 40 seconds. It needed to be between 4:45 and 8:15. What else have I written down here? You sent visuals, but you referenced not a single thing visual in your speech. You need to make the reference to the visuals within the speech. You previewed the kind of the body of the speech, but it was almost like giving the speech and then say, okay, now I've told you everything I'm going to talk about, now let me talk about it. You want to be real careful with that kind of stuff when you do those things. Your bibliography works list was not good at all. Your ending was very weak. So you want to capitalize on all of these things you can do to improve your speech and make it even better. Let's go to Pumpkin. Pumpkin, you spoke about boxer dogs. So we have mastiffs and boxers. You just, from the very beginning, there's just no energy there. It's just like, boy, I couldn't be more disinterested in what I'm talking to you about. And yet everything you're talking about tells me you are a huge fan of boxer dogs. Your family is a huge fan of boxers. And yet it just came off again as, let me just tell you something about boxers, and maybe you'll like them like I do. I'm obviously saying things, making up things, but you've got to have an energy level about your speech. You must constantly cite sources. Are you hearing a theme here, everybody? Cite sources. Cite sources. Tell me where you got that. Where did that come from? Now, your visuals, A+. Way to go on the visuals. You did something really, really neat there. First of all, you showed me a picture of your dog. Yes. The other neat thing was that you showed me a figurine of a bulldog, and that was pretty imaginative use of what it is that you did. However, the stuff you sent me had no copy of the visuals. You know, you should have made a copy of the, take a picture of your figurine, take a picture of the dog, and then include that with the stuff that you sent me. It can be a JPEG, it can be a PDF, anything like that. Be careful about when you're speaking, that sigh. It's like, oh man, I'm really bored, but I'm going to finish this anyhow. And then at the end of your speech, you just died at the end. Even including at the very end, you kind of rolled your eyes like, oh, well. You want to, your audience picks up on that stuff. They want to see someone that's up there that's committed, that's believable, that believes what they're talking about, so that when you're telling me an informative speech, you're informing me of something. We're not trying to persuade yet, but you're informing me. Then theoretically, you're informing me about something you found interesting. Then help me find it interesting. So energy levels, cite sources, read the directions, visuals required. When there's a visual required, you've got to send me a copy of it. Okay? It's pretty easy. A lot of these mistakes are mistakes that are eminently fixable. Please make sure. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever about anything related to an assignment, call me. Discuss it with me on the phone. I can help you through some of these things, and we can make it much, much easier. Okay? All right, that's it. Go IU. Have a good one. We'll talk to you next time.